Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Introvert Dating Success Show, courtesy of introvertdatingsuccess.com. I'm your host, HarryWilmington. This is the show, and that is the website where you can go to learn how to date as your authentic introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. And today, I want to cover a very introvert style topic, and that is anxiety. Now, on a previous show, one of my very early shows, I talked about sexual anxiety and how to handle that situation. But this one specifically dives into people that have heavy social anxiety. There's a guy that wrote and wants to know how to battle this. If people are going with the battle of anxiety, what they can do to make this easier for themselves. And I want to preface this by saying that I am in no means a doctor. So I'm going to be giving my opinion on this guy's situation. I myself, in my younger years, and to an extent some of my teenage years, had some form of social anxiety in terms of not being able to approach people, kind of wanted to stay to myself. And part of that was because I was an introvert, but the other part was I was so worried about what other people would think. And we'll get more into that in the show. But I think that in terms of some of the ways that I was able to handle that, especially on the dating front, because dating for me was very, very hard early on. I didn't know how to talk to women. I didn't know if they wanted me to approach. And I had all these things in my head that was stopping me from being able to have the dating life I wanted. And once I was able to break past some of those things with the tips I'll give today, then it made my dating life a lot easier and a lot more fun. As always, for more of these shows, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. Go there now to be able to sign up for one-on-one coaching. Also, if you have any questions you want answered on one of these shows, you can write to me at the website. And of course, if you want to show support for this show, you can go there, click on the tip jar tab, and click on any of the links to support me however you want with whatever amount you want. I'm not picky. I'm just happy to listen to this. If you can't support me that way, at the very least, share the video. It's on YouTube. Share the show from iTunes. Share the website. Let other guys know that are introverted that there is help out there for them. Okay. And also for you guys that are interested in getting access to my Stop Losing Women podcast, which is my previous podcast that had over 400 shows before I started doing this podcast. There's going to be a link for that that's going to be available starting June 19th. It'll give you access to all 400 plus shows that I did that will help you immensely in your dating life. And it'll be on a subscription-based service. You can pay a nominal monthly fee to have access to all this great information that can get you out of your dating rut. All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into this guy's question. And he writes a little something like this. He says, I'm 23 with heavy social anxiety, was homeschooled for 10 years. I'm unsure as to how to proceed with seeking relationships. I've never been on a date. And with my anxiety, it makes it very difficult to even seek out friendships. Moved around a lot when I was younger and was never really around people my own age. Most people in my life, family members, don't take this seriously and put me in very awkward positions with people. Those of you who battle anxiety of any form, what do you do to make interacting with people easier? Now, like I said, this is not a solely introvert problem, but a lot of introverted people also have anxiety. And like I said, in my early years, I found this to be a problem for myself where it's like, it was really hard for me to want to put myself out there. And what I realized over time is, and again, I'm not a doctor. And so I know doctors can clinically diagnose people as having these severe anxiety problems. And so I don't want to take away from that being a thing, because that is a legit thing that some people have to take medicine for years or whatever. But that being said, I found, at least for me, that the major reason that I was having these various anxieties, whether it was with trying to meet friends or especially in the dating world, was because I was so heavily worried about what other people would think of me. And more importantly, I was aware that I wouldn't be able to control the outcome of how they would act. And so it held me back. And unfortunately, you might be one of those people where it's like, how people think and feel about you really, really matters. And honestly, for years, I thought that I didn't care. I was like, I don't care if people think of me this and that. But then I started to realize that, well, wait, I'm not going out there. I'm not trying to talk to people. Why am I staying in my room? I mean, I like my alone time, but when there's people just one or two friends that want to invite me someplace or they want to take me to a new environment, why am I suddenly so not apt to go? When I have friends that are like, hey, let's go meet some girls tonight, I'm like, that's a horrible idea. I don't want to do that. Why is that? And again, it goes back to the thing of control. We are trying to control our environments. And especially as an introvert, we like things to be predictable and calm and something that's going to make us feel like we're in a right place, that we are in a place where we belong. And so so the idea of possibly going out to talk to people that might tell us we don't belong or see us as weird or strange or whatever, we don't want to waste our energy on that. And also it's a thing where it's like, it ends up being a thing where we just kind of like say, I'd rather just be alone than have to deal with anybody else, because I don't want to risk possibly being seen in a light that I don't want to be seen in. And it's sad because, as an introvert, you are great at a lot of things. You're great at being able to dive deep into subjects. You're able to, really analyze people and pay attention to what they're saying. And like, there's so many great traits, but it's this fear of any of that stuff making you look foolish that could be holding you back. And that can be a very hard thing to break out of. So how do you do it? Well, like I said, I have a few tips here that I want to share that could be the start for you to re-examine how you're dealing with life and why you're getting so anxious and start to make changes to those things. So the first one that I came up with that really helped me is don't predict the future, live moment to moment. As an anxious person and as an introvert, there's a habit of trying to be able to think out every single move that's going to possibly happen before you make a move. And this is especially true when you're dealing with women. So you might see a girl, what's an introvert situation? You might be at a party that your friends invited you to, and since you know these friends, you're okay going to this party because you know most of the people there. Okay, so we'll go with that. And so you're at the party and you see a bunch of friends that you do know, like we'll say 4 or 5 friends, but then there's this one girl that's there that you don't know. And you're thinking you want to talk to her. But then all of a sudden you're held back because you start thinking to yourself, well, okay, if I'm going to talk to her, but there's other people that are around me, so they might see me talking to her. And then what if that goes bad? And if she rejects me, and if I'm trying to if I want to get her phone number or possibly take her on a date and I ask her and she says no, then oh my God, I'm going to be so devastated. And then she's going to tell my friends, who I didn't know this girl was even in the circle, but she's going to tell them that I tried to ask her out. It's going to make it awkward, and my friends are not going to want to talk to me or invite me around when she's around also. And this is a whole story of something that's not happened at all. So what I learned is, rather than trying to figure out the end game of the situation, you go moment to moment. Now, I will say what also made it easier is being able to have a plan of action in these moments, to where I can say, okay, I see a girl that I like, I'm going to do this and this. And then if these things go well, then I can go to another step. But I'm going to do it moment by moment. And if you go to introvertdatingsuccess.com and look on my website, I got eBooks, I got free video trainings that will kind of give you some step-by-step plans of things you can do, so that way you at least have a game going in of what you want to do. Because I found if you have some form of an idea of what to do, it makes it more predictable of what your actions can be. And once you're able to have predictable actions, you're going to be less anxious, because you'll know anytime this scenario comes up, oh, I just do A, B, and C, and I'll get D. And that helped a whole lot. So that's the first thing, is like, don't predict the future. You go moment to moment, but kind of know when these moments arise, because ideally as you get older, you're going to have more opportunities for these moments to happen. And you're going to find that a lot of them repeat themselves. Like, I'm 38 now. I've been through so many scenarios where I'm at a party and I see a hot girl that I want to hit on. And the first time that happened, it was really nerve-wracking. After like the 5th time, it's like, okay, I need to have a plan of action. So by the 6th time, you're like, okay, I know X, Y, and Z will do this. And then I did that enough to where it's like, oh, this is a consistent system of things to do. And again, you can find things like that at the website. Second thing, understand your fear. And we're going to use fear as an acronym, which means false evidence appearing real. Your brain, as smart as it is very dumb. And it cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is fake. This is why, even though you know movies are fake, you can still laugh or cry at them, because the brain is more going off an experience of something. So when you come up with a scenario in your brain of like the worst case scenario for when you approach a girl, then your brain is thinking to itself, this is a real thing that's happening, because it's feeling those feelings in real time, even though nothing is actually happening. So you got to understand, when you see a girl you want to talk to, and you start feeling all nervous and you're afraid, that's normal. Your body's going to go through the normal cycle of, oh my God, this is new stimuli. I don't know what's going to happen. But you have to learn to recognize that feeling and then take steps to be able to say, okay, even though I'm feeling this thing, I still got to go do this thing. I still got to approach her. I still got to write her back on a text. I still got to ask her out. And again, if you have a plan of action to go with that, then it takes the fear away a lot easier. But just understand, when you feel that feeling, that doesn't mean stop or this is something you shouldn't do. It simply means this is a new stimuli. I don't know where this is going to go, but I got some steps in place to be able to make my move and know that I'll be okay. When you feel fear, the body can't tell if it's going to get punched in the face, but it can feel like that's what's happening. And that's not what's happening. This is simply a woman that is unknown, that your body's getting nervous about, but you need to go ahead and try to talk to. And then you'll realize as you do this more and more that a lot of the things that you were thinking were going to happen or that you're fearful about don't even happen. So your own fear is holding you back and making you anxious when in reality, the scenario is not going to be that bad. But anyway, so that's the second thing, understanding your fear. The third thing is you want to focus on them, not on you. And what I mean is this: being anxious, part of that means you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to have to look a certain way or be a certain way. Oh, I got to say this thing to her. She's going to hate me. What if I do this thing? I'll look silly. And in the process of that, you're forgetting there's a second person here. And it's the person that ideally you like and want to talk to. But really, focusing more on them means you're going to do all you can to make sure that this other person has a good experience of you versus worrying about your reactions to the experience. So instead of focusing, for example, like you see her go to a party, instead of thinking, oh my God, I'm going to look bad, or what if I say the wrong thing? Think about her. Think about she's at a party. She doesn't know a lot of people, or she knows people that are there, obviously, but like she's probably having an okay time, but not a lot of people are talking to her, or she's been in boring conversations. What can you do? What can you find out about her? What can you do in the moment to make her smile or to be able to engage in a conversation with her? And then you go from there. Well, I don't know. You don't know what she likes, but you can go up to her and say, hey, this is the great party. How do you know so-and-so? Or, so what do you like about this city? Or what made you pick that outfit? Like, you focus on her and you take the pressure off of you, and it'll make you less anxious. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing you can do is you can learn to embrace rejection so it won't hurt as much. Part of you being anxious, that there's probably a good chance that if you're really anxious, you haven't been trying things that get you out of your comfort zone and that allow you to feel what rejection actually feels like. And what I mean is, we have this tendency, again, in our heads, fear, we have an idea of, if I do this thing, I'll get rejected and that'll be the worst thing ever. And versus going through it and feeling what that feels like and getting used to that. And that's important because the reality is life is going to bring you rejection in all kinds of forms. And if you never get used to it, then it can't just become second hat or old hat or whatever it is. And it's important for rejection to be a normal part of your life, so that way when it happens with women, it won't hurt you as much. So I'm going to be honest. Those first women that you try to talk to or try to ask out or try to tell them your feelings or whatever, they might reject you or say, oh, that's sweet, but you're not for me. And no matter what they say or how they do it, it's going to hurt. But you need to start understanding that women, even when they reject you, are trying to be so nice because they know how men's egos are and they don't want to hurt your feelings. So when a woman rejects you, more often than not, like we'll say 7 times out of 10, the rejection is going to be something like, oh, that's sweet. Oh, I got a boyfriend. Oh, I'm not dating anybody right now. It's never going to be completely direct. And that's because women talk in passive language, which most guys hate in relationship scenarios. But in terms of a rejection scenario, it's actually to your benefit because she's saying in the nicest way possible, hey, I'm not interested, but I really don't want you to flip out. So I'm going to just give you an excuse. And when you first hear it the first couple of times, it's going to suck. But then after a while, once you've had a few of those rejections, coupled with a few rejections like, oh my God, I would never date you, or blah, blah, which again, probably should not happen. But if that does happen, you'll realize, oh, the majority of women, when they reject you, are doing it in a nice manner. And as long as you recognize it for what it is, then no harm, no foul. And like I said, after a few of those, it'll become like nothing. Like, it'll still suck if the girl you're thinking about wanting to take out decides to reject you or flake on you or whatever. I'm not going to say that's never going to not feel good, but at least it'll be more like, oh, this is just a normal part of life versus it's the worst thing ever. Oh my God, she's going to reject me. Because if you live in that world, you're never going to get anybody to go out with you. So understand that rejection is a part of life, but that most women are going to do it to you in a nice way. And just when they do it, and it'll be very, very passive, just be like, all right, well, on to the next one and move on. And by like the fourth or fifth of those, it's not going to be an issue. And the thing is, it's funny. I used to watch a show called How I Met Your Mother, and the character on there, Barney, he was like a ladies' man. He was always, every episode, he was like with a new girl. But then one episode, they broke down the statistics of like, oh, he's dated this many girls, but he's actually had to hit on this many girls to get this kind of percentage. So even men that are great at dating typically have to ask out quite a few women, which means they got to go through a lot of rejection, but they don't let that deter them. And I always tell guys, rather than hiding from rejection, run into it. Like, just get it out of the way. I do it like this. This is what helped me actually get out of my comfort zone. It's like, I said, okay, I want to go out with women, but I don't seem to get dates. So I'm going to go online. I started doing online dating, and I got a video training at the website right now that'll actually show you ways that you can send messages to women that will get responses. When I first started out, I was like, okay, I need to ask out 100 women in order to eventually get a date. And it might take 20, it might take 30 rejections, it might take 99 rejections, but I'm going to get one of these women to do that. But I know in order to get that one, I got to go through 100. So we're just going to assume that the majority of these women are going to say no. And funny enough, by approaching it that way, where it's like, I know I'm going to get the no, and I'm going to run head first into it, each one of those no's I got was just like, it's part of the list. I got to get them. So I asked the first girl, I don't want to. Okay, great. Boom. Got the one out the way. Let's get to the next. We got 99 more to go. And I found by like girl 10 or 11, I was getting dates. It was like, oh. So, but I still had to go through 9 other women that said no before I got to the yes. So you focus on eventually getting that yes, and don't let the no's even worry you. And again, it's going to take practice. But you got to, the earlier you practice, you'll get over the anxiety of that a lot quicker. So that's number 4. Number 5 is you want to talk to women on your terms or in the kind of environments that are most beneficial to you and how you process things. Because as an introvert, I understand the thing of not wanting to talk to girls at parties or at bars, because there's a lot of other stimuli. So it's not just you going there and saying like, oh, I want to talk to girls. It's like, oh, I'm going to try to talk to a girl, but I got to see if the bartender's going to talk to her or other guys. And there's going to be music playing, and there's going to be stuff happening, and there's going to be dancing, and there's going to be all this stuff. And that can deter you and make you more anxious because you're thinking about all these things and not being able to focus on her, which is number 3. So this is where you control the environment. For example, when I would go to these parties that my friends threw and I'd meet girls, I would find a way to be able to separate me and her from the crowd, whether it's going to the bathroom, whether it's going back to somebody else's room that's not being used, whether it's going outside. But I'd find a way to be able to get her someplace where there's less distraction, and then where we can have a one-on-one conversation. Because as an introvert, I don't want to talk in a group because I'm going to get silence because I'm not going to say anything. So I would know, hey, let's go for a walk. Hey, let's go out and talk for a little bit. Hey, I want to get to know you more. But I would separate them from the group. I also found that me doing online dating was a great environment because I'm meeting girls by swiping. I'm talking to them one-on-one. I'm getting to know them before I decide where do I want to invite them on an actual in-person date. And I get to choose the place that I get to take them that's going to be most beneficial for me to feel good and also for her to have a good time. So if you're able to control the environment, then you can get rid of a lot of the anxiety that comes with having all this other stimuli around. And that's part of it too, is like having all that stimuli can really make you like get out of your head and worry about a whole lot of stuff. And so I know this guy was saying that like his family members put him in these awkward positions. And I know it can be hard to tell family, hey, you're not helping. But really, if this is a situation where, you know, his family is put in place where it's like, oh, you should talk to someone, so this and that, and that's not working for him, then either A, he has to figure out how to make the situation work, or take the reins himself and say, okay, realistically, I got to take this over. And the funny thing is, this guy's 23. I lost my virginity at 23, so I understand having been this long before you get with anybody that don't want to do anything with you or being anxious or whatever. Like, I get it. Like, it's hard. And I'm 38 now. It took a few years to get to the point where I was able to figure out these things. But ultimately, like I said, if you're able to control the environment and you're able to talk to women in areas where it works for you, then that should help some of the anxiety. Oh, lastly, here's a bonus tip, is stop trying to control everything. The major reason you probably have anxiety, again, I'm not a doctor, but for a lot of you guys out there that do have anxiety, is because you're trying to control everything and you know you can't, and it makes you nervous. And honestly, the best cure for that is to just let some things go. Like, let the idea of you having to control every single thing in your life go. Because you can't predict everything, you can't control everything. Think about the stuff we've been through just this year, between the various diseases and between various protests breaking out. Like, life is not always going to be controllable, but you got to be the one to say, you know what? Fine. Like, let me get rid of some of this control and let me just let life happen and see what happens. And you'll be surprised that life can actually be very, very nice. And life can be one of those things that, even though things are going to be happening, ultimately, you letting go of control is not going to bring you a whole lot of harm. So trust the process. And when you let go of control, you'll find that when you talk to women, you having to try to control their conversation and trying to control how they're going to respond to you, they're going to actually open up to you a lot more and want to be around you more. So hopefully those tips help you guys out there. If you like that advice and you want to hear more, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com to hear these shows. You can go to iTunes and YouTube. You can also go to Patreon. If you become a patron, then you can get access to these shows a week before they drop anywhere else. So that's patreon.com/introvertdatingsuccess. All these links, by the way, can be found at the website. So if you want to support the show by clicking on the tip jar tab, you can. If you want to become a patron, you can. If you need help in your own life and want to get some one-on-one coaching, I do that as well. You can go to the website, click on the tab for that. If you want a question answered on this show, you can go to the website and send me a message there as well. And we also have a bunch of great eBooks, video trainings at the website. I got an ebook on how to get your ex back. I got an ebook on how to do more effective texting. Like, there's a lot of stuff at the website, okay? And also for you guys that have been asking me over and over again, hey, where can we find your Stop Losing Women podcast? The Stop Losing Women podcast archives will be available for you starting June 19th. It's a Friday, and I will give you access to that link on that day. It'll be a subscription service. You can subscribe monthly, or you can do a one-time fee and have access to all of them forever, but that'll be coming out on June 19th. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for joining me. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I will catch you guys on the next show. I'm out. Peace.